Hello, everybody. We are testing out golden open acrylic paints for the first time. If you would like to grow as an artist and you can't take an art class, we've got everything you need here at Art Prof: critiques, tutorials, professional development, and workshops. These are golden open acrylics, and thank you so much, Slate, for generously sending these supplies to me. And they are supposed to be, we're going to test, slow drying acrylics. And this set is 12 colors. And it also has a tiny open thinner. But I am happy to have this larger bottle. And I've got two mediums. This one is medium matte, and this one is gel matte. So let's get started just by testing the colors. By the way, Golden, what were you thinking with this packaging? The tubes aren't even dirty yet, and I can't tell what the colors are. Okay, let's just test a couple colors. How about we start with quinacridone magenta, which I have never used before. In fact, let me just put out a bunch of colors because I do have a particular sequence that I usually do, although this one has a lot of colors I don't typically use. Yellow medium light. Okay, I'm going to try the yellow medium light because I like that one the best. So typically what I do is I'll put out my colors. So I have my warm colors here. So I'm going to see if they have a yellow ochre. If not, I'll just use maybe burnt sienna or burnt umber. Okay, this is naphthol red. Oh, these are such weird colors. I was really hoping they would have, like, there's a lot of phthalo colors here. Okay, we definitely need titanium white. And I always put that in the upper left-hand corner. I can already feel that they are not as thick as the regular heavy body. Okay, they have titanium buff. No, Titan buff. Oh, that's kind of like Naples yellow. Okay, it's a little bit more muted than Naples yellow. And I always like to have two blues. Oh, okay, so they've got phthalo blue green, phthalo blue red. I want something that's more like cerulean, but I don't think I saw cerulean because I really do like cerulean. They do have raw umber, so let's put some raw umber over here. Not really my favorite brown. I feel like it's very ashy. I'd prefer one that was a little bit more brown, like burnt sienna or burnt umber. Okay, let's go with naphthol red light. I do really wish they had alizarin crimson. Maybe the quinacridone magenta can be a substitute for alizarin crimson. Let me try it. Oh yeah, it's kind of like alizarin crimson. It's a little bit more pink though. I do really like alizarin for that reason, that it has a purple tint. Is there only one blue? Dude, I have all these yellows. Why is there only one blue? Okay, let's try, this is the red shade. Okay, that looks pretty, it's like a really dark cerulean. And tell me in the chat, everybody, who here has used open acrylic paints? And if you have not, are there other acrylic paints that you have used in the past? All right. Let's test out what some of these colors look like. And then I am going to do a mini painting of a daffodil because it's starting to be spring. So we'll start to apply some of the colors. Okay, let me see how this works. Okay. I'm gonna just use we just did the color palettes workshop yesterday, and so we've been doing a lot of swatches recently. I'm just gonna do the straight colors. Oh, they're pretty thin. Yeah, way thinner than the heavy body. Oh, I should have cleaned my brush. So we'll see how long they take to dry, but I can already tell that they're very different than the heavy body. They're also a little transparent, like even the titanium buff that I just put down, which I would have expected to be very opaque, is actually a pretty transparent color. Yellow, I always assume, is going to be transparent regardless of the material. Okay, let's try that Naphthol red. Oh, okay, the Naphthol red is a little thicker. I guess it was the two yellows are pretty runny. This one feels like it has more body to it, but still not even close to the heavy body in terms of thickness. But there definitely is more beef to the red. And if you don't use acrylics, tell us what you do paint with. Watercolor, gouache, oils. Okay, now let's try the quinacridone magenta. Okay, this one's pretty thin. This one is quite transparent. It's almost like a thicker version of acrylic inks is what it feels like. I feel like it's closer to acrylic inks than it is to heavy body acrylics. Although, for me, this might be perfect because I do really enjoy painting thin. I am somebody who is much more likely to paint with acrylic ink versus heavy body. Heavy body is not really my preference. I mean, I'll use it in a couple select areas if I really want to like beef up a color, but I tend to be a very thin painter. So I would say so far, based on what I'm seeing, this would be good for anybody who likes to paint thin, or you could use it in conjunction with, lost my train of thought. Use it in conjunction with heavy body as a glaze. These would be great for glazing. And I'm going to mark what these colors are so we can have a reference for that. If I could find my pen, that would be helpful. Okay, so this one is, what's this one? Oh, yellow medium. We should try the yellow medium because I don't know what this one is like. Okay, that one's a little bit more orange. So this is yellow light, Titan buff. Yeah, this is a really unusual set of colors for me. I don't usually use most of these color. Quinacridone magenta. Okay, let's try the yellow medium. Oh, this is very thin, super transparent. Yeah. So I would say a lot of transparency, not a lot of body, but so far they're not drawing very fast. We'll have to give it a few more minutes, but I can already feel that they're not doing that sticky drying thing. Okay, this is phthalo red shade. I'm just doing full paint. I'm not adding any water. I will certainly do that later, but I just want to try the paint totally straight. Yeah, very transparent. So I would say if you wanted to use these and you did want opacity, you would probably have to maybe use heavy body as a base. Like if you wanted to do light colors, you could use heavy body white as a base and then tint with this, which is basically how I use acrylic inks. So much, much closer to acrylic inks. Okay, this one is yellow medium. And this is the phthalo red shade. I don't really understand what that means. Does anybody know? Because that says red shade and this one says green shade. Let's see what the difference is. Okay, is it just me or do those look almost exactly the same? This one definitely is a little smoother. I can see it's not streaking as much. This is the green shade. But they're so similar. If I were golden, because this is a set, I think I would much prefer to have a different blue. Like, why do you have two blues in a set that are so similar? Green shade. Okay, and let's try the carbon black. I don't use a lot of black paint, but good to know what is out there in terms of the colors. Okay, this is carbon black. Okay, the carbon black is pretty thick. All right, so far, the colors that have the most beef to them would be the carbon black and also the naphthol red. The other ones that I've tried are very, very thin. Okay, this is carbon black. I don't think that's all the colors, but of course, all the tubes look exactly the same, and so I can't see which are the ones. Okay, I'm just going through. Oh, I didn't try raw umber. Okay, let's try raw umber. Because I always need a good brown. I mean, in theory, I would like to mix brown every time, but it's just really convenient to have the brown. Okay, so this is raw umber. Oh, very transparent. Yeah, it's almost like acrylic inks with a little bit of beef, but very little. I mean, it doesn't run. That's what acrylic inks do. Okay, this is raw umber. And by the way, everybody, put your questions into the chat because I am going to take a pause pretty soon and take some questions. Oh, wait, there's a phthalo green, yellow shade. Okay, let's try that one. I could make color swatches all day. I was telling the people in the color palettes workshop yesterday, listen, if you guys want to just sit and mix colors, there is so much you can learn without having an image to paint. Oh my gosh, this is super thin. Wow. Okay. I haven't used golden fluid acrylics before, so I don't know what those are like. 8, 9, 10. Okay. So there we go. I'm gonna just mark this a little better. This is phthalo green. Okay, very transparent. So I'm gonna pick this up and you guys can see how thin. I mean, the Titan Buff, I really was hoping it would be like Naples yellow, but it was not. This one is pretty opaque, the naphthol red. Quinacridone, very thin. Yellow medium thin. The phthalos were a little thicker. Carbon black, thicker. Phthalo green was super runny. This is crazy thin. Probably out of all the colors, I'd say this is the thinnest one. And then the raw umber, again, was also very, very transparent. So I would say if you want thickness, this is thicker, but it's still not thick. Thicker. Okay, raw umber, I would say very thin. And phthalo is very thin. And then the others are just on average thin. Okay. Let's take a look and what people are asking about these acrylics. Awesome. Karina is here for the first time live. Let me know if this is your first live stream or if you discovered us in the last 3 months, because it's always so fun when new people join. Oh, Olivia, fantastic. This is also your first time. Yeah, this these are about transparency. These are not about building up acrylics. But like I said, you can combine them with heavy body, because I have found in my own acrylic painting practice that I don't like limiting myself to one paint. I'm always doing acrylic with heavy body acrylic ink, or I'll do acrylic ink with watercolor. So I've discovered for me, I don't tend to do one type of paint. Manette says, how many people regularly clean their paint palettes? I work in watercolor, will sometimes just sponge away a clean spot. For some reason, it feels wrong to wash it. Oh, Alex Rowe, who used to be a teaching artist here, he had palettes that he said the colors were from 20 years ago. So I think for watercolor and gouache, that really makes sense. But for me, acrylic gets everywhere, and so I have to clean it all the time. Thank you, Slate, for providing these supplies today. I'm so grateful to have this experience, because these are all supplies I probably wouldn't bother to get myself, but it's so nice for people to see the first reaction, because it's one thing for somebody to demonstrate something that they're already very good at, but when you see that first reaction, you can really understand the differences between the materials. And Neil, you prefer quinacridone magenta. Scandalous opinion. Oh, I want to go back to Slate, who says, I never know how to use titanium buff. It's a weird color. I feel that it's yellow with a little bit of purple. We were doing these color charts yesterday with complementary colors, and this sort of reminds me of the mixture where you put a little touch of purple into the yellow, but it also feels a little green. Yeah, I guess I'm just so used to Naples yellow that I want it to be Naples yellow, but it's not. It's very, very thin. And cool. Mary has used them. I'd love to hear your opinion, Mary, if you like these or if you have other preferences. Yeah, Omizu, I would like to try the fluid acrylics, which I've seen people use. Lauren uses them, because I just find I don't like the thick paint. Who here likes thick paint? Because we have people like Frank Auerbach. He's a contemporary British painter, and I mean, he practically sculpts with paint, and I'm just not a thick painter. Okay, so 7A, our resident art supply expert. The open acrylics are more fluid for sure. You can mix them with other non-open if you want. If just adjust the drying time according to the ratio you mix at. Yes, and I'm also going to try out in a minute a bunch of these gel and matte mediums, and we'll see how that affects how these work. Nancy says they seem very similar to the golden fluid acrylics when you're applying them, but thicker on your palette. Are they smooth applying them? Yes. So these are really very smooth, and they're not running at all, but they're a little floppy. They're not as strong and substantial the way heavy bodies are. I feel like the heavy body is sort of like a very muscular paint. I don't know. These are like my arms, not very muscular at all. Yeah, Alexandria, that's my big thing is I really, really like layering paint. And so for me, it really makes sense. Omizu says, aren't the golden open paints a slower drawing acrylic? Yes. And I definitely am seeing that for sure. They're not drawing remotely at the rate that the heavy body ones do. I feel like those go so fast. Neil says, is oil really superior? I have a hard time liking it. Not at all. You might have some snots who tell you that, oh, oil is ultimate paint, but whatever paint you want to use, great. Nobody should judge you based on the material. I mean, I know that oil painting has been around way longer, that it has a longer tradition and history to it. Perhaps somebody could point to that. Acrylic has not been around for a long time. And so there is that comparison. So Auntie says, long drying time, superior color range. Yeah, the colors are quite vibrant. I am seeing that across the board, that they have very good intensity. And that's very important. Like, they're very strong pigments. I feel like sometimes I will use paint and the pigment just doesn't feel very potent. These are thin, but they are very potent colors. Oh, so 7A says 4 times longer to dry, but you will find variation between the colors. Absolutely. There are certain colors that will take longer to dry, and potency of color is also something that takes some time to understand. For example, I can already tell Naphthol red would be very powerful. So if you were to mix something with Naphthol red, you would want to just tint a little bit. You wouldn't want to like put a big blob because it would just destroy the other color. Janice says, why are they called open again? It's because of their dry time. So open acrylics means you've got a longer opening for them staying wet. And I'm touching them. Oh, they're still wet to the... Okay, so the phthalo green is already dry, but I just touched the quinacridone magenta and it's still wet. So that's a very long dry time. Yeah, the yellow light is also kind of wet. The black is dry. Yeah, so I guess the quinacridone magenta, that's the one that's taking the longest to dry. Oh, thank you, Shannon. One of the phthalos leans towards warm and the other cool side of the spectrum. I mean, now that they've dried, I can sort of see the difference, but not enough for me to feel like they needed that. I really wish they had had a cerulean in there, because cerulean is a blue which has a little touch of yellow in it. And Sabrina says, haven't used acrylics much. These seem super streaky compared to others I've used. Maybe because they seem more diluted. Yes, that's absolutely it. So because these are pretty transparent, you can see they are very streaky. And so actually, let me try this. Let me put a second layer on top and let's see how that looks, because right now the raw umber is super streaky. And let me see if it takes a few layers to do that or not. Yeah, these are still wet. They're super wet. Like, they're not even close to drying, and they definitely would have dried by now for heavy body. So this could be a situation where you need like 3 layers or something, because even on the second layer, I can feel it still feeling streaky. I mean, I guess if I load up my brush a little more. But yeah, I have to put a lot of paint down to get this really opaque. And even then, it's still pretty streaky. Yeah, so I would say if you want full potency of the opacity, you probably need 3 layers, because I'm already feeling that it's not opaque enough. Let's try the phthalo green, because that one's the thinnest. Let's see how long that one takes. Oh my gosh, so streaky. Wow, this one would need like 4 layers, 5 layers. I mean, what you could do is you could put like Naples yellow or white underneath it, but super streaky. And, oh, this is a really good point from 7A. The fluids are more runny, but the open are slipperier, if that makes sense. Yeah. Honestly, the whole thing about paint for me is how does it feel in my brush? And these do have a streaky feel to them, but maybe I'm just being sensitive. I don't know. It depends on the person. Yeah, Slate says, I hope you grow to like them like I do. I could definitely see myself using these because sometimes the acrylic ink is too runny. Sometimes I don't want something that's that out of control. So this could be something that's in between the acrylic inks and the heavy body. Oh, Slate says open acrylics, although are not fluid, they have a tendency to ooze. Okay, I want to know what that means. I don't know what oozing paint looks like. Oh, Alexandria. Good point. Let's try that. Okay, what happens when you layer over a color? Let's do something over the yellow, and let's see what that does. How about we try the magenta on top? And I'm going to just do it straight. Let's just see. This is straight. I'm not doing any thinner or anything. And I'm going to paint a little outside so you guys can see what the magenta looks like by itself versus when it's going on top of the yellow. Yeah, it's pretty streaky. I guess that's the word of the day. Okay, let's see what that looks like. All right, so the magenta was pretty powerful. It really did cover quite a bit of the yellow, but you can see not all the way. It's definitely got an orange tint to it. Let's try something over the phthalo. How about some yellow over the phthalo? I'm curious if I have a color that's lighter, what that will look like if I paint it over. Oh yeah, this one's really obviously very, very thin. Oh my gosh, it already picked up some of the blue because the blue is still wet. Okay, these are really long lasting then. Yeah, so you can see it turned the yellow into green because the blue was already wet still. I'm surprised that they're staying wet for a long time. Like this is way longer than I would have anticipated. Okay, Slate's got a definition of ooze. Slippery, but also thick applications take a very long time to dry and can run if painting on a vertical surface. Interesting. Yeah, because the acrylic inks dry really fast. And so I guess I'd have to remember that if I'm glazing with this, I probably can't glaze over it really quickly. I probably would need to wait a little bit of time. It's nice, though, to have an acrylic paint that takes longer to dry. I think it's a pretty big difference. Okay, let's try some of the mediums. I need to get another sheet of paper. So this is the paper I prepared. This is acrylic ink. And I'm going to do a quick study of that daffodil that I mentioned earlier. But let's take this off. And let's try. Okay, let's do open acrylic gel matte. We'll do open thinner in the middle. And we will do open acrylic medium matte. Okay, and I'm just gonna make 3 columns so we can see these more clearly. And by the way, everybody, if you have an art supply that you would like me to try out, of course, now I can't open this package. Hang on. Oh, I still haven't opened yet. Anyway, there's some Daniel Smith watercolors in here from Jess, and I'm very excited to try those out. But if there's some type of art supply, you want to send it to us, you want to see it on a live stream, type art supply reactions into the search bar at artprof.org. So I have an Amazon wish list. And if there's something you want me to try, it's not on my wish list, just message us somewhere on one of our platforms and I'll put it on the wish list. Okay, let's try all of these various thinners. Let's do the open thinner first. So this is the open thinner, and this says, use thinner to adjust and maintain the working properties of colors, reduce brush drag. Visit, oh, okay, yeah, that's it. All right, let's just see what it looks like when I, wait, is there, it's probably like a piece of paper in here blocking it. Oh, yes, okay, let's try that. Okay, now let's see what that looks like. Oh, oh wow, that's really runny. Does everybody see how runny that is? Let's see what it feels like in the brush, though. It can feel so different depending on the brush that you're using. Okay, let's try some, how about some yellow? Okay. Oh. Oh, it's very smooth. Wow. Oh my gosh, it's super slippery now. Oh, I'm so surprised. It's so smooth. Okay, so this is the open thinner. Oh, I like this. Okay, this is way better. It's so smooth. Oh, I really like that. This is similar to acrylic inks, but it's not runny, and I really, really like this. Oh my gosh. Nice. Let's try a different color. Okay, I am a fan of the open thinner so far. Let's try a darker color. How about like a blue? And this is the one which is leaning towards green. Okay, let's get some of the thinner. Oh, I love the thinner. It feels really good in my brush. Ah, and it's streaky, but it's not super streaky. Nice. Now it feels like acrylic ink's cousin. Very similar. It's like acrylic ink, but it doesn't run everywhere. So I could definitely use this. Okay, let's do a different color. How about magenta? Quinacridone magenta. It's not really runny. Like if I move my palette, it's not going anywhere. Okay, so let's see. Still streaky. I feel like in the yellow, I didn't really see the streaks anymore. So this I definitely would have to like spread around so I don't get big streaks. But you can see if I smooth it out, that really gets rid of the streaks. The other one, I really could not get rid of the streaks. This one, if you do enough brushing, you can get rid of that. Alexandria is asking about acrylic is typically non-toxic. What about these mediums, thinners, and gels? I would assume they're not toxic. This says avoid ingestion, excessive skin contact, inhalation of spray mist, and concentrated vapors. Okay, well, I don't have any plans to spray mist this, and I don't have plans to eat it. It says excessive skin contact. So I don't know, maybe if I dumped it on my arm. But if you're worried about it, obviously wear gloves or something like that. Okay, so let's try the gel mat. Okay, so this is the gel mat. Ooh, okay. Definitely goopy. Look. Okay, so this one is thick. Let's just try some off the top. Ooh, wow. Does everybody see? This is goop. See that? Yeah, like this is thick. Okay, let's just try this. I mean, this almost feels like paint. It's really thick. Wow, this is a lot of body to it. Okay, let's try it. See what it looks like. How about let's try some green? Guys, they're still wet. I'm 35 minutes into the stream and they're still wet. This is really thick. Oh my gosh. So thick. but it definitely is doing that smooth thing. So I'm going to do one that has more green. I'll do another one that has less green, and we'll see. Okay, this is the gel matte. Okay, here we go. I mean, it's really thin. It's kind of weird because the gel matte is very thick, but it's, I guess it's just, again, it's like, how does it feel in my brush? Actually, what I should do, let me do it with the same colors that I did with the open thinner so we have a better comparison. So it's more like, it's not so much the look that it changes, it's just how does it feel on your brush. Like the open thinner is kind of like mushy and squishy. This one doesn't have that. Okay, so let's try the quinacridone magenta. And I'm going to use less paint this time. Yeah, so it's sort of like mixing it on the palette feels different. But you can see the look of it is not that different. I guess this one's a little lighter. Ugh, shoot, I got some green in there. Okay. Okay, so this is very thin. Ew, that's a really gross color. Sorry about that. Okay, let's try the phthalo again. Phthalo blue. Oh my gosh, like this would have been dry. This would have been dry like 10 minutes ago. It's just still super wet. I'm very impressed by that. I had no idea it was going to be like that. I feel like for me, because I like runny stuff, I am liking the thinner better, but it's all personal preference. Okay, so what I am seeing is that the gel matte definitely makes the colors thinner. So you can see this blue, it's lighter in value than this blue. So if you want to like really, really thin down the color, then probably the gel matte is better for that. The open thinner seems to retain more of the body of the pigment. Okay, so let's try the medium matte. But I could see for the gel matte, if you wanted to do a very, very thin, subtle glaze, that would be perfect for that. Okay, so this is the medium matte. Let's see how that looks when I put it on my palette. Okay, so this is like a runny, squishy version of the gel matte. The gel matte is far more thick. So if you guys look, this is the gel matte, and it doesn't run at all. But if I look at the other one, like that actually does run a little bit, but it's not. So the open thinner is the squishiest one. Let's try again the same colors. Okay, and let's put some of the medium matte into here. Okay, so this one's like in between the thinner and the gel matte. Didn't clean my brush. Okay, I would say the gel matte really breaks down the pigment. Open thinner makes it smoother and more glidey. This one, let me do another color because I'm not totally certain how to describe it just yet. Okay, so let's try the blue. They're still wet, you guys. Oh my God. This is very impressive. Like I keep waiting for them to dry up and it's like it's not even close to drying up. Okay. I guess this one, it's sort of like the open thinner, but it has a little more substance. It's not as runny, but it does not break down the color the way that the gel matte does. Okay, let's try the magenta. And get that into the medium matte. I'm going to try one that has a lot of the medium matte in there. Let's see what that does. Oh my gosh, that's really thin. Wow. Okay, that really broke down. the color. But again, it's because I use so much. I didn't use a lot of pigment in here. Okay, I like these. I'm very happy about this. I feel like they'll be incredibly helpful because I'd only been using the acrylic ink and the heavy body, which are really sort of opposite ends of the spectrum from each other. But this is definitely giving me something that is a good in-between. Yeah, so all of these mediums, what they seem to do is you can get rid of the streakiness. So I would say I probably would never paint it straight. I think I would always want one of these in here. I feel like the one I would use the most, that for me, I mean, it's so different for everybody. For me, I think I'd use the thinner the most and the gel matte. The medium matte I didn't like as much, but I could certainly see a time to use it. So I think all three of these would be good. But if I only had to buy one, I probably would buy the open thinner. If I only had to buy two, I would buy these two, the gel matte and the open thinner. Reem says, I have a feeling you could take a nap and it still won't dry. That's how I'm feeling. I mean, let me look at the other page. Let's see if this is... You guys, they're still wet. Oh my God. Oh my gosh, look at the phthalo. That's really wet. Yeah, they're all sticky. Okay, the phthalo green is almost dry. The raw umber I put a lot on is still super wet. Carbon black is almost dry. So yeah, how thick the paint is definitely changes the dry time, because the raw umber, I really laid that on thick, and you can see it's already coming off. Let's take a look at some more of your questions, and then I'm going to do a very quick flower study because it's spring. And by the way, everybody, we do have a flower workshop, which is coming up in May and June. So that will be really fun because I think flowers are incredibly expressive, and now is the time. But we also have pen and ink, printmaking, acrylic painting, landscapes and water, collage, and mixed media. And we also have one spot left in both drawing hands and feet and imaginary landscapes. Again, one spot left in both of these workshops. And if you want to do a May or June workshop, definitely important that you get that registration in by Friday, April 26th, because while we do keep registration open, we do have to make sure that the workshops run. And so if not enough people sign up for the workshop to run, there will be no registration for you to sign up later. Okay. Get some more questions. Al says, I like slow drying acrylic medium. Normal heavy body paint gives a good balance for me in drying time as I'm impatient for the next layer. I need to try the slow drying acrylic medium with the heavy body paint, but there definitely is a flow to these that I have to try it. But I'm not sure I would be able to get that degree of flow and glide with heavy body. Okay, Reem is asking, can gouache be thinned out like watercolor? Yes, exactly. 7A says, they do have stuff close to an antifreeze in them, so treat with some care. Once dry, they are inert. Also, some pigments are the toxic part. Yes, that is true. It doesn't seem like there's any cadmium colors in here, so I think it's okay. Okay, so this is a sheet of hot press watercolor paper I prepared in advance with acrylic ink. I'm just bending it backwards because it's not quite flat. Let's see. Okay, that's much better. So the acrylic ink that I used here is Sennelier Abstract Acrylic Inks, and this is light violet. Okay. let's test out what it's like to sketch with these. And again, you can see this is my subject. Went outside and just picked this off my front door. And you can see the color of the ground was very deliberate, because you can see in this daffodil, there's a lot of yellows. Like this is all very pale whites with a little touch of yellow. And actually, now that I'm looking at it, there's quite a bit of purple gray in there. But I also like the super saturated yellow in the middle. And I just think we all need to paint from life more, because especially something like a flower, I mean, assuming you're not working on it for 2 years, it's so nice to have the real thin thing. Folding this a little more. You know, I wonder, I might just stick it here at the top to paint, because then you guys can see, because I'm not going to paint something really big. Yeah, let's leave the flower up here at the top. Who here paints flowers? Because flowers is not really my thing, but my friend Kathy Speranza, and we have a tutorial on her incredible paintings. She is a genius of painting flowers. And actually, you know what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this sheet of paper and I'm going to use it to test the colors. So you can see that's like really purple. I don't want something that's saturated. So I'm going to add a little bit of yellow into that, because I'm just trying to find a sketch color. I don't want anything that's too dramatic. That's better. I still think it's a little bit too purple. So let's add some of that in there. And I'm going to use quite a bit of the, okay, that's a lot better. I am going to use the open thinner here, so that way I can do a quick sketch without feeling like, what the heck is this? Why am I covered in white? Where did that come from? What the heck? There's white paint all over. You guys, did you see me do that? What is this? Like, I didn't touch the white. Oh my God, I'm like covered in white and I don't even know where it came from. That was really bizarre. I just like blinked. Maybe it was on one of the rags. Who knows? Okay, so let's see what that looks like with the, I think I need a little more paint. I think that is not going to be enough to sustain me. So I'm just going to mix a bigger quantity, add a little yellow, make it a little more gray. Ugh, that looks kind of green. Ugh, that looks like black. Bad. Let's get more purple in there. This is so thin that I wouldn't. I definitely would not use a palette knife. Oh, okay, this is pretty good. That's more the color I want, but now I'm going to put way more of the open thinner. Actually, I should probably clean my palette a little bit. This is kind of messy. Geez, I really need to change the razor blade. Okay, more open thinner. Let's see if we can get that. Ah, much better. Everybody see that? Maybe a little bit of yellow, just to gray it down a bit. I don't want it to turn green though. No, I shouldn't have added the yellow. I'm going to just use the original mixture. Okay, let's try this. I'm going to do a very, very thin sketch. I'm going to make it super light, because I know a lot of people, when they paint, start with pencil, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But I do prefer to sketch with paint, so that way I'm already thinking about paint. and I'm not having to transition from the pencil. So I'm going to go in super, super light. Oh God, that is not light. Let's try that again. I need my scrap paper. I should have done that. Okay, that's better. That's nice and light. Okay. I mean, if it's too light, I can always go over it. So I'm just going to do a really quick sketch. Yeah, I'm using very little pigment. Wow, the open thinner is so powerful. It does a great job. Oh, too dark. It's hard in the beginning when things are just not well established. Like this is darker than I would like to be. I'm just touching the edges. Yeah, so here, that's more what I want. I feel like that line got super dark, which I don't want. But you can see my sketch is very, very mushy, and that you can barely see what I'm doing. Ugh, I feel like I made this too small. Let's just make that a little bigger. So initially I drew it here, but I expanded it because guess what? I'm going to paint yellow and white all over this later. And so that's actually okay for me to do that. So I made it too small. Now I'm just going right on top, which is totally doable. Oh, I really like this. Oh, you know what? Because of slow drawing, I bet I can get rid of that mark. Let's see. Oh my gosh, yes, it worked. Yay! I did not even think that was an option because I just always assume I can't do that. But wow, that was nice. It did take off a little bit of the acrylic, but that's okay. Oh, okay. I love you, golden open acrylics. You guys are my jam. Nice. And again, it's like this is where I learned so much from our audience. I mean, if Slate hadn't suggested this to me, I don't think I ever would have tried them. But now, oh man, I am a fan. This can definitely work for me. Didn't really leave enough space for that shadow, but that's okay. And there is a really nice shadow, which I guess I don't have space for now. Oh, well. All right, and really briefly, I do love the elegance of the stem. For whom is it spring? The only thing I usually think about is spring cleaning, which I don't want to do. This also needs to be taller. I made that too short. I guess I should move my flower. It's kind of in the way. But yeah, that was so easy to get rid of that spot I thought was too dark. Okay, let's get that stem a little more solid because the stem is actually quite geometric looking. Oh, that was so fun! I really like this. Okay, I'm going to take a quick reference photo. I know some people really like seeing that difference. Okay, let's block in some white areas. I think I do want to do a little bit more sketching just to hint at some of the streaky parts so I can be more deliberate about that. At the very least, I'm just showing the direction of the flower petals because they have these streaks. And like this one has sort of a curvy streak. This is all going to get painted over, but this is just so I have a better sense of the structure that I'm painting. And then there's the thing in the middle. What is that called? I feel like it's called stamen or something. Who wants to do the research for me to figure out what that thing is called? I'm also looking at size. I think this one's a little too big. So for me, this is like doing multiple passes to figure out where things are. And again, a lot of it's going to be painted over. That's the nice thing about painting is that you always have that option. Watercolor, not so much, unfortunately. But if you stay light for a very long time, it's kind of extraordinary what you can come up with. Squinting to make sure things are where I would like them to be. And I'm looking at the petals, the two tips of the petals. I'm trying to see, this one is lower, this one's higher. And so that's something I do a lot is I make those comparisons for how high something is and how low something is compared to something else. Yeah, 7A, I like this. You can always take a cloth and lift. Alexandria. Teenage daughter walked in, saw me watching, paused, and said, "You have odd interests." My kid came home the other day, teen. Drawing is boring. Like, a little piece of me died inside when I heard that. Okay. Let's take a look. I'm going to try to get some pretty thick yellow. So I'm going to take the, oh my God, my razor blade is terrible. I'm going to take the white and I'm going to put just a little tint of yellow, and I'm not going to use any of the mediums because I want opacity. We'll see if it actually works. I mean, this could be a situation where I would go in with Heavy Body or that White 2.0 by Stuart Semple that I like. Okay. And I'm going to use a pretty big brush, a brush that is bigger than it seems I should use. So maybe it's too small. That one's okay. Okay, so this is a pretty big brush, but I think it might work well. And I'm going to squirt out a lot of white. I mean, I'm wondering if the titanium buff might help me here, but it was not that opaque. Oh my gosh, Golden, please don't do this packaging. I can't tell what's what. Okay, I'm going to put a little touch of yellow in this, but I'm going to put it on very, very thick. Okay, so let's try. Oh, here's where I think I would use the gel mat because I do want some more flow, but I want it to stay thick. Okay, so that's a very good application for that. Oh, nice. Oh, okay. So this gel mat seems like it's very good when you want to have a little more flow, but you also want to go thicker. A little more yellow. Oh, I like that. Okay. That's great. Okay, I wasn't thinking I would like that gel mat so much, but good for these opaque colors. Okay. And for this, oh my gosh, my flower is totally wilting. It's like way mushier than it was initially. I like this. I think it's a little too thick though. I might put in more of the gel matte. Or maybe I shouldn't try to layer it all at once. Maybe I should build it up more slowly. That could be a better way to go. So I'm doing these very big strokes because I don't want to get picky. And I'm trying to be fairly efficient about it. Yeah, it's kind of hard to get opaque paint here. I think this is where I would beef it up with some of that heavy body paint. Yeah, I don't think I like, see here, up here, I tried to paint it opaque and it just looks streaky. I don't think I like that. So I'm going to actually just move some of that around. It's a little thick. I'm not getting a lot of flow here. I think I'm going to go in with some thinner and just push it around some more. It is nice to sort of push around though. So what I'm doing right now is I'm taking the paint that's already here and I'm just moving it around, making it a little more present. Yeah, I don't like putting it on thick at first. I shouldn't have done that. I guess I'm going to just switch to making it more opaque. Let's get a quick photo because we like to see a process. So Edie, it's actually titanium white with a little touch of yellow light. So you could say it's an off-white. I feel like it's more Naples yellow. It feels more yellow to me, but I know it's hard for you to tell because you're not looking at the actual piece. Okay, I do want to get a little bit of that very intense yellow that's in the middle. So this I think I am going to use. Well, let me try the medium matte. Like just the littlest glaze. Okay, so I would say if you want to make something opaque, I would either add heavy body or I would build it up very slowly. It would take a long time though, because remember, these dry very slow. Yeah, like I can't glaze right now. Oh, but the glazing feels good. I mean, even though it's like mixing, even though it's not really glazing right now, it does, oh, it feels nice on my brush. Fantastic. Oh, cool. I am really enjoying myself. Thank you, Slate, for making this possible. I was so grouchy yesterday. Like, I am not fun, you guys. When I'm grouchy, it's really bad. When's the last time you were grouchy? I was okay this morning. Some mornings I'm really grouchy because I hate mornings. But yeah, I was. So actually, one of the things I did yesterday, because I was so grouchy, I took a nap. It's like, I don't think anybody should be around me right now. And I needed it. It is really nice to be able to blend, though. Like, I can definitely see that. Okay. So we have a lot of questions in the chat. Like, I know Karasu's asking about being confident. And I do want to keep this stream more focused on the paint, but it looks like you guys already have a great conversation going and that you are supporting each other. So everybody keep that up. I think it's so kind and supportive to offer that encouragement. But Karasu, everything that people are saying, absolutely. For me, the biggest part is the community thing. It's like you just need people who want you to succeed. Don't hang out with anybody who doesn't. Okay, let's get, oh, I need the stem. Let's put the stem in. It's a pretty muted green. So let's, oh, this is starting. Okay, that's starting to dry up a little bit. Let's do a little touch of red in there. It's a pretty dark green. So I think I'll do more red. Maybe a little more green. And I am not feeling the need to use a palette knife either. I typically do, but I don't think you need to for these. It's pretty dark. I want to put a little, let's try the titanium buff. Maybe that'll help it. Because the titanium buff, it's really muted. Oh, that's way too light. Shoot. A little touch of red. Okay, let's see if that is better. And this I am going to use the thinner. So that way, because this is a pretty thick amount of paint that I have. Okay, so just very briefly. It's a little bit too thin. I think I added too much thinner. Just blocking in some of that shape. And it's funny how this part of the stem is actually very, very straight. It actually has a lot of structure to it. Oh, and then there's this like dried green part. Actually, this I'm going to do like a raw umber with a little bit of titanium buff. So let's, yeah, I don't want that to be green. It's not good. I'll have to come back and work on this, but I just want to indicate that it's there. Maybe I'll just put a little white on top because I'm not getting the value range that I want. Okay, so that then separates that gray spot. It's funny because some people might think that this crunchy brown part is sort of ugly, but I think it's gorgeous. I mean, a lot of people might think that you don't need this part because all you have here is the flower, but I think you absolutely need it. It's a contrast against what's happening in the rest of the flower. Okay, we need to beef up the contrast here. I sort of lost this part that sort of bulges a little bit. Definitely too sharp, but let's just leave it like that for now because it's okay for that to be the case. Because I generally don't like such sharp edges. In fact, let's go in and loosen this edge. You know, I might just be able to do it with a... Oh, nice! Oh my gosh, I love you! Ah! Okay, I am such a fan. Golden open acrylics. You are making me very happy right now. Okay, and I'm going to do a little titanium buff. Actually, that's more yellow, but I just want to give it a little more of a value change up here. Oh, this is going to be so good for smudging and smearing things. Lotus says, what is the drying time for this paint? Is it comparable to water mixable oils? I feel like it's longer. I mean, I haven't used the water mixables for a really long time, but I feel like this is way more. Anna says, you didn't seem grumpy to me. See, it's different though, because when I'm art prof, I know how to turn that off. That's easy. But it's in my personal life where I can't control it. I mean, I could, but I just like don't have the energy for it. I know my kids call it my art prof voice. They hate it. They hate hearing my art prof voice. I think it's just too different for them compared to the way I usually talk to them and interact. Because you know what, students? You guys are in a different category than other people in my life. This is how you know. Students, unless you do something really, really bad, I will always give you the benefit of the doubt. And I don't put you on the blacklist. I do have a blacklist. And I do have another list, and it starts with S and it ends with T. And you don't want to get on that list because if you're on my blacklist, it's not good, but I can bring you back. You can audition to be off the blacklist, to be taken off. And you could do something very apologetic. Maybe I'll take you off. But if you're on the SH-T list, that's over. You and me, I'm going to actively not help you with things. I'm not going to destroy your life, although I would like to. But I will absolutely never, ever, ever do anything for you. And I might, depends on the situation. This is more a professional thing, but if you screw me over or do something really rude and not collegial, I will actively tell people not to hire you because I want to spare them the pain. Yeah, you don't want to be in my S list. Oh, I really like this. So I'm just putting down some thin. The blending is so easy to do. Oh my gosh. Okay, this is the paint. If you want to blend, this is it, you guys. Because sometimes it is hard to blend. And I'm not going to go in and paint every individual stroke. But I do want to get a sense, like there's sort of a big shadow down here. Oh, this brush sucks. It's got crap all over it. Let me try another one. Yeah, like if I take the open thinner and I just go over, like it's so easy to smudge. Oh my God. Look at that. I can just smudge everything. That's amazing. Check that out, you guys. Isn't that really surprising how easy it is to smudge? So basically, I put down the paint and then I can just take my time to smudge it in. So right now, I'm adding just some streaks. There's some crunchy spots that I do want to get to. But it's so easy to blend. This is incredible. I'm very impressed, Golden. Good job. Good job manufacturing this product. Oh my gosh. I think if I use these, I would just like blend everything to death. Wow. Oh my God, I am blending everything to death. I'm like, yes, let's just do it. Just blend everything. I mean, I feel like this blends so well that I probably would verge on changing my technique entirely. painting with these. This is what I would have liked in high school, actually, because in high school, I really did not like that acrylics took so long. I mean, that acrylics dried so fast. Like, it really, really bothered me. And that's why I wanted to try oil painting, because oil painting didn't have that problem. See, that's the thing, is a lot of this is just knowing about the materials, because when I was in high school, well, first of all, there's no YouTube. But second of all, it was not an option for me to learn about this stuff. I mean, there were like 3 books on how to paint. And what did I know about art supplies? Not very much. Okay, now I'm going to go back in. Need a better brush. I'm going to bring back some of the white, because some of the white is getting a little lost. Again, tinting my white with yellow light. And I'm just going to do some key spots where I think it's most apparent. Like here especially, a lot of it here. This is really fun though. I'm having such a good time, you guys. I'm definitely not going to take a nap today, because I think I slept too much. Does anybody have that thing where you're like, okay, that was too much sleep, even though I really needed it? I think I sat down and I set an alarm and I was like, I'm going to take a 1-hour nap. It turned into 3. Okay, so these I'm going to blend a little bit, and then I'm going to come back in with some more value. Bring some of this out. This is fun though. I am really liking this. Okay. All right. So we're going to go up in value. Edie's asking, do you know if drawing retarders and acrylics will cause conservation problems later? I'm not sure. I'd have to look it up on the Golden website. That's usually the best way. So if anybody wants to do the research for me, feel free. Al says, I have a bottle of pure retarder and you can mess up the ratios. Awesome. Karasu says, would you consider creating a Blick wish list? I'd rather support Blick than Amazon. I know what you're saying, absolutely, but the ease of an Amazon wish list, you can't compare it to Blick. I've looked at Blick, and actually a very long time ago, I did do their affiliate program, and nobody used it. It was just not as reliable as the Amazon wish list. So for that reason, because I've tried it and it didn't work, we're going to use Amazon. I know it's frustrating, but that's why I really try to buy from local places. Like, I don't even like buying from Blick, but I don't have another option here. But you guys should buy from places like The Complete Sculptor. I've been doing reels on them. Guerra Paint in Brooklyn, New York. Support those small companies because they need it far more than Blick does. I mean, Blick destroyed all the little companies. They all left. I mean, not left. They got destroyed by Blick. There used to be Pearl Paint. I think that got bought by Blick. AA says, do you still take photos when you do still life? I never know how to deal with light changes. Well, right now, the shadow that you guys see, that is coming from a light that I have on the left-hand side. And it's a very cool diffuse light. I do have a lighting umbrella that helps do that. But you don't have to paint from life with natural light. But if you paint with north light that is very soft and diffuse, it does stay the same. What you don't want to use is south light. You know when there's like really intense light and you can see like the shape of the window on the floor? Like that you don't want. That is absolutely going to change. But either using an artificial light like I have now or north light, diffuse soft light from a window will stay the same. Thank you so much, Carnival Fish, for the super sticker. We so much appreciate your support. Those super chats and super stickers coming, everybody. They do make an impact on our revenue. I know it looks like we have so many subscribers and we're doing fine with budget. We're not, though. We're still squeaking in there. I mean, we're still here, which is great, but I would love to not think about that for a little while. Drawlsors says, I have a set of golden open, but haven't used them yet. What's the consistency? It's pretty goopy. I wouldn't say it's remotely as strong as the heavy body. Oh, good. I'm glad to know that they come around, Janice, because it seems like that's never going to happen. Oh my God, don't even talk to me, Lotus Blossom, about art supply hoarding. It's so bad. I'll have to shoot a photo for you guys later, but my table is just growing upwards. Paranoia Princess says, I've been putting flowers into my fantasy pieces. Fantasy women surrounded by their favorite things. I have one of the hydrangeas. I'm currently working on a triptych with cherry blossoms. Flowers are incredible forms. They are so great to work with, and the fact that you can have it right in front of you is even better. And Edie says, painting in impasto can be fun because I feel like I'm sculpting the painting, but also feel like I'm cheating because I feel like I should get the texture effects using variations in tone. There's no should. Get the effects you want however you want. It's not cheating. I mean, people tell me that adding bits of white gouache for highlights in a watercolor is cheating. Well, I guess I'm cheating then. The only cheating is plagiarism. The rest of it, fine. It's just a tool. Oh, very good point. I like this, Al. One of the cool things about slow drying acrylics, they are generally easier to clean up brushes. I can definitely be on board with that. Okay, so 7A says Golden did do extensive testing for longevity when they released the open line, so I think there should be no worries there. Golden is very good at providing all of that technical information. Like Sennelier was not. Like I was trying to find information on their site about their egg temper. There was like nothing. There's this one video of this dude just talking and he didn't show anything. I was like, this is not helpful. But Golden, I think, does do a good job with that. Oh, 7RE, good recommendation. But here's what I need, you guys. I need LA, Los Angeles recommendations for art stores. Because again, I don't want to just go to Blick. I want to go to the local stores that provide an experience I wouldn't have anywhere else. So if anybody here has been to LA or you live there or have lived there, I need your recommendations because I will be in LA. I think it's something like May 3rd to 10th. I can't remember, but I'll be there and I'll be looking at museums and I will be going to art supply stores. So I definitely need your recommendations. Yeah, Anna says, I'll never understand purists. Why are we so stuck on rigid rules about what is and isn't acceptable in a certain media? Exactly. Like if you're not plagiarizing and you're not hurting anybody, why does it matter? I mean, to me, it's just being really elitist. It's obnoxious. Okay, let's get in some real contrast. Yeah, so the dry time, it's so long that I'm no longer even thinking about it. Oh, there's sort of like a crunchy yellow in here. Let me try like maybe yellow with some raw umber. It's a little bit red. So let me just, I think I need like a very yellow red or something. because I have these like dark, like crunchy spots. So this is where there are bits of the flower that are sort of dried out and wilted. And they're very beautiful. I mean, I really have not painted flowers very much, but I can totally see why people love them. I mean, my friend Kathy Speranza, she only paints roses. She doesn't paint. I mean, once in a while I've seen her do some other flowers, but she's really into the roses and has been painting them for years, and they're incredible. And Kathy also teaches some classes online on her own platform. So if you look up Kathleen Speranza, you'll find it. But she is a brilliant artist. If I had time, I would take a class with her. Okay, so what I'm doing now... Oh, I wish my webcam would focus. Ah, there it is. Ah, much better. Sorry about that. Sometimes it does that. Okay, so these I'm going to blend in a little more. And I'm going to do some little touches of like a darker brown up here. Because I want that, I want the crunch. Gotta have that texture. As flowy as this is, there actually are spots that do have this sort of rigidity to them. Oh, I really should paint the thing in the middle. Okay, let's get maybe yellow medium would be good. I'm going to do yellow medium with a little touch of red for that center area. Naphtha red is the one I'm going to use. Okay, so this is the... Anybody look it up? Stamen, whatever you want to call it. And remember, everybody, we will do a Discord chat after this, and I'll post the images of the work so you guys can see. Because it's never quite the same thing in the live stream. We do have a P.O. box, Karasu. Go to ourprof.org and click on contact. You'll find the P.O. box. Carnival Fish says, what is your favorite paper to use for acrylics? Cold pressed watercolor paper. I really like the roughness. Okay. Let me add... Oh, value. That's what I needed. Okay. Again, with the thinner. It's like just starting to get dry, you guys, but it's still like I've been painting for a long time now, and it's like not happening. I mean, I'm not complaining. I think it's fine. It's fun. So I'm trying to vary up my brush work a little more. Ugh, I just feel really klutzy right now, though, because my friend Kathy is so good at this, and all I can think of is how much better her paintings are than mine. I know, it's not a very productive way to think about things, but it's kind of hard when it's like, you know, somebody else does it so well. And I'm going to try to get bolder shapes. So you can see up here, I'm trying to make that more prominent. So even though this is brush work, I am thinking about it in terms of shape. Okay, and actually here it's very yellow, so I'm going to switch to, again, really, really bright saturated yellow. Like here, it's really glowing, so I'm going to just beef up that transparency. And here too, I think I need a second layer, well, at least a second layer, probably more like 3 in this area to build that up. Okay, and then we need, again, that opacity, value shift here. Yeah, so I would say this is definitely like oils where you have to understand that you're not going to get it all in one pass. Because I do feel like dry brushing would be pretty hard to do with this. Not like difficult, but just it's not really what the paint naturally wants to do. Like you would really have to push it for that to be the case. I need a bigger brush, but my other brush is all yucky. So I'm just going to stick with the small one, even though it's not quite what I would prefer to have right now. Because this brush is actually, it's very good at making like shapes. And that's what I want right now, is just these like pieces of shapes. So I'm not really doing brushwork as much as I am just blocking in big shapes that I want to emphasize. Yeah, like down here, this petal on top is really casting a shadow on top of the other petal. And so here I'm going to be a lot more dramatic about these marks. I feel like I really want to just blend. It's really, really fun. Yeah, like here, I don't want all that texture, so I'm just going to go in. It takes a while, but I'm enjoying this very, very much. So you can see that is one big shape that I'm trying to establish. And then, oh, I really feel like I want to add more of that bright white, but I'm going to give it a minute because I do feel like I'm sort of losing the shape of the flower here. I want to get that a little bolder and more secure before I play with that. Oh, this section in the middle is getting all goopy though. Yeah, like I definitely have to work kind of hard to get rid of the streaks. The streaks are kind of frustrating, but it's not so bad. I'll live. So tell me in the chat, everybody, what's your current project? What are you working on? Because it's super fun for me to hear people are working on such different things. And it's just the most wonderful thing. It still blows my mind that people are here from different places. I mean, as much as technology has created all sorts of problems for us, it's also done some truly extraordinary things that I still am amazed by. Ugh, this is getting really red. I don't like this. Ugh. I think I need to bring back some of that yellow. It's getting very, very muddy in there. I think I was adding a lot. Oh, sure, Pam. My favorite is hot press. Not hot press, sorry. Cold press Arches watercolor paper. I got to bring back some of that white with a little touch of yellow. It's totally getting lost. So this is something I was talking to somebody about yesterday. I think it was Nancy. I don't know if you're here, Nancy, but I was talking about how paintings really have to have a back and forth in terms of how they're developed. And that is the case for everybody. I don't know anybody who can just sit down and just get great results right away. It's impossible. And so there is oftentimes a situation where you are painting something, removing it, bringing it back. So no one here should feel like that's a bad thing. If you put something down and you lose it, you just have to bring it back. That's all it is. Ugh, this area back here is really so difficult. There's just so many things. I think I lost the value range. I have to bring that back. So you guys can see tinting the white with a little bit of yellow, it just gives it extra vibrancy. It may appear white, but it isn't actually white. And that is what I love. This is fun. I haven't painted in like a really long time, you guys. Been so busy. The printmaking conference, and I just need like a army of editors. I mean, I have Dorian and Mia both do amazing work editing, but it's like we've accumulated so much now that I'll get to it all. It's just going to take a while. And I feel bad when people are like, when is this coming out? I'm like, oh, I'm trying. But I did release, I'm very happy about this video, this painting I worked on at the Kennedy Center. And it has like no views, and it's slow. It's everything that YouTube is not. And I know when I make work like that, oh my God, I forgot the shadow. I'm so dumb. Okay. Let's put that shadow in. We definitely need that. I can't believe it took me so long to do that. Anyway, it's like the anti-YouTube video. Oh my God. I love how this flower is wilting as I paint. This is so funny. It's actually gotten some cool forms. Actually, I like this. Oh man, I just noticed one of the petals just totally fell over, but I like it. Oh my God, I got to do that right now. Oh, it's so pretty now. See, it's like it's going this way. And it's got a really nice, isn't that cool? Like, okay, I like this. I like these flowers that are wilting right in front of me. Fantastic. See, painting from life, sometimes it gives you these moments that you ordinarily wouldn't experience. And I love it. I think it's gorgeous. Okay, we really, really need that shadow. I can't believe I let it sit there for so long. And I'm going to really pump up the contrast, because there's a pretty strong shadow here. And then this shadow is pretty large. But oh my God, this will be so easy to blend. Yes. I think I put a lot of thinner in it. It's kind of hard to get the opacity that I need. And this will really help with this petal, which again is kind of collapsing as I paint it. I love that. Because I think with painting from life, a lot of times people don't want to do it because it's not as predictable what's going to happen. And like I said, you have these changes that occur. But sometimes I love the changes because I think what you're basically doing is you're painting almost like a living, breathing organism. Oh my gosh, that makes the shadow so easy, you guys. What the heck? I like that. Chantilly, I did prep the surface in advance, and actually this is hot press watercolor paper, so it's very smooth. And I did do a wash of acrylic ink, and this is light violet. Okay, so this purple in the background, that is acrylic ink, very, very thin. Thank you so much, Ari, for the super sticker. We so much appreciate that. We're still a small and scrappy operation. And you know something, for a really long time, I kept thinking, oh, I want to be a big thing. I mean, I do. And I want to have investors and do those kinds of things. It'd be nice to have money. It really would. But I'm proud that we are homegrown, started entirely from scratch. I mean, I started Art Prof in 2014. Nobody was teaching online. I mean, some people were, but it was not remotely the same as what's happening now. And everybody thought I was crazy for wanting to teach online. And I made everything here. All the spreadsheets, all the programs written from scratch. And I'm proud of that. Because I was looking at some of my spreadsheets recently, and I was thinking to myself, like, wow, every spreadsheet here had an evolution. Like, it took me time to figure out every spreadsheet. We had to troubleshoot a lot of things. Okay, I really need the value here, and it's not happening. To get more color. More magenta would help it. A little touch of yellow. Oh, that's way too dark. Okay, I don't want that. Okay, but I do want a couple pockets, like up here. I mean, this is darker than what's actually here, but I think that's all right. Oh, this is so amazing. It's so crazy easy to blend. Oh my God. And I'm just going to take a pretty big brush and do some blending. Nice. Isn't that cool? That is so crazy. It has such phenomenal blending quality to it. So right now I'm trying to make some of the edges a little bit softer, and I do need a little more, like especially down here, this really should be like very dark. I don't like this brush. That brush sucks. Hang on. I really am due for a new set of acrylic brushes. Yeah, the rag is excellent for this. Really amazing. Okay, let's get in. I want more purple. I feel like there's not enough purple in here. So I feel like it got very blue. I think I want to add some more magenta. So you can see these are some of the colors I'm mixing. So here I've added a little more magenta. And again, let's try some of the open thinner. But I do want the value. Okay. Ah, much better. Okay, good. Ugh, that kind of gross. Ew. I think I'm getting too dark. It's too much value. Okay, let's just rub some of this away. Bring it back. So who has plans today? You know what my plans are? They're very exciting. I'm going to work. That's my work. Because I've just found that I can't take a day off. Because otherwise I open the Discord and there's 10,000 messages and it's kind of stressful. So it's one of those situations where I actually do better when I'm doing work every day because I hate the avalanche. Because I used to try to do that. I used to say, okay, well, let's just try. I'm going to have a day where I don't do anything. And I just end up stressed the next day. So, how many of you guys feel like you're very strict about your own days off? Are you very protective of that time? Or are you like me? Are you crazy? And do you feel the need to do a little bit every day? I mean, it depends on your job. Obviously, some people don't need to do that, but you know, even when I do let myself have a day off, I don't really feel like I'm off. I'm just on all the time. That's just me. Oh my gosh, the flower has drooped so much, you guys. This is really funny. No, I kind of like it better. Okay, let's beef up some of these whites. It's the center part that's kind of bothering me. Awesome. I'm glad you're doing polymer clay glaze. Laundry. Oh God, I haven't done laundry. It's bad. It's bad. It's like overflowing. Like, that is not a good thing, you guys. You don't want to get to that point. I know what I need. I need a little bit of value in here. I miss this. There really is like a shadow in here that I don't have. Let's just beef up some of that. Yeah, I need more value. It's not happening. Especially on this edge, I have to show the crunch of this flower. It's tricky because it is sort of light in value. Also, this is not the type of painting where I'm deliberately mixing. I'm really mixing on the go. Typically, I do prefer to mix in advance, but this just doesn't seem practical for me to do that, so I'm not going to do it. Yeah, it's this form in the middle that's kind of bothering me. To make a little more value here. Separate that center part from the middle. Yeah, I definitely need more muted colors, but it's not quite there. And Janice did thumbnails for a woodcut of tree branches. Awesome. Art supply enablers, that's me. Tell us in the chat who here has gone to the art store a few times because of us. We are very good at being art supply enablers. And I don't know if people have seen the reels that I've been cutting of my visits at Guerra Paint. But, oh God, if you guys are in New York City, go to Guerra. They do an amazing job educating, and they are extremely knowledgeable. There are not a lot of art stores that are like that. I mean, I really felt when I talked to them that I was talking to scientists. Okay, so now I'm starting to really beef up some of the whites. I really need this shape to be more prominent. Oh, that's better. It's getting more purple. Good. I think before this, it was getting a little brown and yucky, which I did not want. This is starting to feel a little better. Okay, see, I lost that edge. Now I'm going to bring it back. So take something, put it back. Okay, that's better. I feel better about where that's going. I just really need this structure. That structure is not happening for me right now. It does feel really good to paint. I really have not been painting at all. Oh, I'm so jealous. You've got a garden, Wilmy? You can relax. It's 8 o'clock. Nice. Anna says, top two bottom, the two bottom leaves just look odd. I'm okay with that. I don't think they need to look good. I think flowers, to me, and it's not the case with everybody, are kind of weird and wonky looking sometimes, especially when they're wilted, which is the case for mine. The other thing is, even if it was bothering me intensely, I don't think it's good to let things like that bother you, because it's like it'll get there. Ugh, I don't like how sharp that is. I'm just going to blend some of this out. That starts to feel a little bit better. Slate says, I need help with brushes, big, small, long, bristle, short. I don't get it. Don't get me started on the different shapes. Oh my gosh, it's so confusing. I mean, the way that I deal with that is I just go to the store and I just touch everything. I mean, it doesn't always work. I'm not saying that that's the smartest way to go about doing things, but it is one way to go about doing things. So I'm having a really good time right now, just beefing up these whites. I just keep adding colors. So actually this part here is very thick. And then you can see some of these other parts are not thick at all. Okay, now that is more the shapes that I was looking to do, but now it's too light. So let's make that darker. And I lost the yellow, so we have to bring that back too. But yeah, if you want to blend, this is the paint to blend. And it is very smooth. I love how smooth it is. But you know something? This has been one of my favorite brush shapes. It's like this, is it called a chisel tip? I can't remember what it's called. It's got a name, just can't remember. Okay, and let's build up. I feel like I don't have the crunch just yet. And I definitely need some of that. Let's build up more of this. And I want to try loosening up my brushwork some more, because I feel like my brushwork is definitely a little bit stiff. So let's go in and do a couple like really bold strokes. Oh, shoot. Oh my God, that just turned to crap. Come on, go back. I mean, that makes sense to me, AC, that you only use 2 brushes. I released a video yesterday talking about how I only sculpt with 4 tools. Of course, everybody's mad at me and they're like, you need more tools. I'm like, well, not for me. And I just think sometimes there's a lot of pressure on people to have 18 tools. And I'm like, I don't need them. They're actually making my life difficult because it's too many things going on. Okay, let's get some of those edges going. That's it. Angle brush. Totally forgot. Okay. I need a couple streaks here at the very edge. Just going to put in some quick strokes on the edges to make those pop a little more. These are pretty quick brush strokes I'm putting in. They're not trying to be detailed at all, because that's what I'm missing are these edges. Ugh, all I see is how much work this needs, but I want to just get it to a point where you guys can see the technique behind it. And so I don't embarrass myself. That's the other reason. But you know what? If you make content online, you kind of have to be okay with that. Somebody told me the other day, they were like, you're so good on camera. I'm like, because I spent so much time being awful on camera. That's why. It's just, it takes so much work to learn how to do that. And it really is work. Like you can get better at it, but it's like it takes a lot of time. Okay, let's just pump up. I need a little more yellow back here. And definitely more yellow, intense yellow in here. Let that really flood in there. That's it. Use whatever brushes you want. All right, everybody. Remember, we are doing registration for May and June workshops. There is 1 spot left in both Drawing Hands and Feet and Imaginary Landscapes. Please join me in the Discord right after this stream. I will be in there with photos of the painting so you can take a closer look. You can sponsor a video. I have so many videos that I would like to produce for all of you, but that I know won't be popular and take me away from generating revenue. So I ultimately don't do it. Like the woodcut tutorial, that was somebody who sponsored that video. And if that person hadn't sponsored that video, it would never have gotten made. So when you sponsor a video, you are helping me create content for the world. Join our Patreon group. You get access to sharing your art in weekly voice sessions. I write very long critiques. And most of all, you get to make art friends in a small group of artists. Everybody, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye.